Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to learn about the function. I have divided this function topic in three parts. So this is the first part of the function where we'll learn basic information about the function and the uses. So what is function? Function is nothing but some piece of code or block of code which is going to perform some specific action. So basically we are going to wrap some piece of code or some specific line which is going to perform some specific action into some block. That block is called basically a function, and that function can be reused several times in the code. Also, I would like to mention here that when we create a function that stays in the memory. Okay, so I will explain all these things. So first I will start with the syntax of function. Basically, when we talk about the syntax, so syntax is very simple. We have to use one def keyword before going to create a function. After that def keyword, after the space, we should give the function name. So I have given here function name. After that, there should be one parenthesis and then one colon. And after that, in that colon, from the next line, there should be the function body. Function body is nothing but a piece of code which we are talking about. Next will be the return keyword with some value, or by default this return as a none. Also, if I want to pass some parameter here in the function, I can give in this parenthesis, which we are going to check in the examples. So I hope this is somewhat clear that this is syntax. So I will start with some example. Let's say I'm going to give the name welcome. This is the function name. Okay, so def keyword and the function name, and then parenthesis, and then colon, and then simple a line which is welcome in function section. Cool. So this is based on our syntax exactly matching. So this is called a function definition. Now we'll talk about that how we can call this function, because if I'm going to execute this function, you can see that nothing is going to happen. So how we can call a function? We can call a function by giving a function name and the parenthesis. So when we pass this parenthesis, then Python interpreter understand that okay, this is something which I need to go in the memory and take that memory location and call that particular action. So this function is going to be saved somewhere in the memory location, and when we call this function by this syntax, then Python interpreter get that function from that location and executes that. So when the interpreter is going to come in this particular line, then this function is going to saved in the memory, and from this um, line of code we're going to execute, then the Python interpreter basically going to find that function in the memory and call that function. Then our interpreter will jump from this line to this line, and it's gonna be execute this particular print statement. So let's check. See, very simple. Now we'll talk about the parameters. As I mentioned in the syntax that we can give the parameters. So now I'm going to write here parameters. So what I'll do here, I'll give some name as a parameter, and here I will try to use that name. So we all know in the print we can give by this and we can use that parameter. Okay, now going to call this function. The name would be the guest. See, now our output is welcome guest in function section. Also, I have explained here about the return type. Okay, as I mentioned that if we want to return something, then we can write a return and then expression of the value. Otherwise, by default, this is going to return none at the end of the line. So we'll check that one as well. So I will like to here write result is equal to this welcome guest. Okay, and in the next line I will print this result. See, the result is none. But if I want to return something here, I will copy paste so that you guys will not be confused. So I will add one more line here, and here I will write return, let's say done. Okay, now going to execute this, and here you can see the result is done. So by default, the return value will be the none type. So this is what about the function. What is the function, and what will be the syntax of function, how we can define the function. So this is the basic definition of a function through the syntax, and this is basically a call of a function for the action. Now next we'll talk about the parameters or the whatever we send here. So basically when we talk about the parameters in the function, that all the parameters will be the reference type. What is the reference type? Reference type means that whatever we are passing that value through some variable in the parenthesis of a function, that gonna be referred to the passed value. So let's say this is also known as the value passed by reference. So let me create one variable where will be the add some value. Okay, here I will give the value as a parameter, and also this will be the value list, let's say, and I will like to add some value list dot append. We know that, and we can pass here 100. Okay, now I'm going to print this value underscore list, correct, and here we need to call that. But before that I will create my uh, old list, we can say, and here I would like to pass 1 2 comma 3, and then I will call this function, and we know how to call, add some value, parenthesis, and pass the variable. Okay, now after this line I will print old list. How we can recognize it? So before that I will print this string old list, and I will copy paste, and here I will change it to value list. Now this is very pretty much clear. So this is a list which we are passing through this function, and as I said, all the parameters which we are going to pass in any function that is passed by reference. It means if I am going to pass this old list in this method, so this old list is going to be assigned in this value list, and when we are going to append anything in this value list, then it's going to be automatically append in this old list, because whatever the memory location of this old list in the memory, that is going to assign in this value list. So this both variable is actually pointing to the same reference. Okay, let's execute it. You can see first value list, this is the print statement, then the list 100 append done, then old list, and the old list is also has the value 100. So this is called as pass by reference. Okay, so in Python every argument is when we pass any parameter, that is called the pass by reference. Next, which is important, is the nested functions. It means that we can create a function inside a function. So how we can do that? Simple. We'll create one function, def first function, give the name, and then some parameter. Let's say I want to give value, and then again one function inside that function. So that will be the second function, some value. Let's say give the same value, and here this would be the print the name f value is the value. Now what I'll do, I will call this second function from here simply with what? With the value, and then I will call this first function with the value 10. So here guys, there is a function which is the name is first function with some parameter value. Inside that function there is one more function, that is second function, where we are passing we have again created passing one parameter, that is value. We can give any name here. If you getting confused, this is the new value, let's say, and I will use the same new value to here. Okay, because this is a definition, we can give any variable name which is does no need to exist, right? And then in the we are going to call that second function here. So we are going to get the value output value is new value. Let's see. So value is 10. But what if I want to call this? Can I do this, or this will give error? Just check. See, there is an error because this second function is not in this file actually, because this is inside this first function. This is not available to the parallel of this first function. This is inside that, so this is in a different scope. So I will explain scope in another video, that will be the part 3 actually of the function. But here you can keep remember that because this is not the outside of the first function or the parallel of the first function, this second function is not available for the Python interpreter outside this first function basically. That's why this is not working here, but this is working here because we are calling this line inside this first function. Okay, so I will remove this and again execute this. Okay, so guys, I guess this is pretty much clear, and we are now pretty much aware about what is function, what will be the syntax, how we are going to define the function, how we can call the function, how we can pass the parameters, how the parameters works as a reference, and what is the nested function. I hope you really like this video, and if you really like, then please like and subscribe my video. Thank you.